Last time on Sailing Soulianis, we made one more short hop along the panhandle of Florida to the port of St. Joe. After spending an incredibly rolly night here at anchor, we set off on our 190 nautical mile passage across the Gulf of Mexico to Clearwater. The first day was a bit rough, with 6-foot following seas throwing our auto helm for a loop, requiring us to hand steer at all times.
We're still making good time. We've been doing better than 6 knots over ground the whole time. We're looking at getting in tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 4.
Bye.
See you in the morning.
What you cooking, good looking?
Greek scrambled eggs.
Oh, that's really close to coming out of the pan.
I know, isn't it? Every once in a while that thing gets swinging really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to stop it so that it
Yeah,
doesn't
I
get
put my
going.
hand on the handle. Wow. That looks amazing.
It's like cooking on a roller coaster. Pretty much is cooking on a roller coaster. Okay, what's next? Feta. A little more spinach. We need a little bit of oregano.
Ooh, that smells nice. So what's going on up top? Auto at the helm.
We're about 3 hours away from finishing our 36-hour Gulf crossing, our longest sail yet. It was kind of rough, to be honest. We left heading straight into 5-6 foot swells. We were rocking all over the place for the first 5 hours, and actually it continued that way for most of the trip, just slightly diminishing over time. We would have had some sleep before starting this. Last night was terrible. Couldn't sleep a wink. Day and a half passage, it would have been so much better, but we were zombies. We hand steered pretty much the whole way. It's probably not a huge deal. I know a lot of people hand steer. Actually, I'm curious. What's the longest you've hand steered for, I guess, is what I want to know. And how often do you do that? I'm interested. The one awesome thing, actually there was a few awesome things, but one awesome thing was I have not gotten seasick. Just amazing. I wore these bands that my mom gave me. I've had them on the entire time, so they're digging into my wrist. I guess that's how they're supposed to work. What else? Stars. It's been a really long time since we've been out in the middle of nowhere and actually seen full Milky Way, and then the dolphins at night, stirring up all the bioluminescence in the water. They were like glowing torpedoes. It was really freaking cool.
We had a request to go into a little more detail about some of the processes we do on the boat.
Here we are dropping our mainsail after a passage.
Lauren usually goes forward to flake the main. Even though we have lazy jacks, it's helpful to have someone ensure it's done nicely.
And then Kirk will actually flake the back of the sail to help me out.
Once we've got the sail down, it's time to put on the sail ties. Next, I adjust the topping lift to keep it above my head, and then I remove the preventer and reattach it to the back of the boom to pull the boom off to the side.
That way we keep the shade off the solar panels. And next we put the sail cover on. There's about 25 of those little...
twist snaps.
Yeah, to get.
And we have to put the zippers around the lazy jacks.
Once the sail cover's on, we detach the halyard and tie it around the sail. And we got to make sure that all the lines are tucked up under the sail cover. Sometimes I forget a snap, so I have to go back.
And give the sail a hug. So we're about 5 nautical miles out of Clearwater Beach. We've sailed all the way here. So it's been a pretty good crossing. We're gonna pass within about 200 feet of another sailboat that looks like it's on its way to do a crossing. He looks like he's turning towards us. Or did he change his course to avoid us? Can't tell.
I feel weird staring at them as they go by.
Why? That's what they did to us. You're just checking out their boat.
Yeah, I guess.
Making sure they don't turn around and murder you out in the middle of the ocean and then steal your boat like pirates. Good, they're still going the other way. So we just flipped on our engine to finish out our crossing here because we got it in a dead spot. And it's the first time we've turned on our engine since we put in the new battery bank and had pretty depleted batteries. We were down to 60%. And this was something I wanted to monitor because I knew that this large a battery bank would accept more than what our alternator could put out. So it would be forcing our alternator to run at its max output for a while. We have a stock alternator from 1979, which puts out 51 amps. It's an automotive alternator, which means it's not really that heavy duty, not really intended to run at max output for very long. When I opened my battery monitor app, as soon as we started the engine, I saw it was putting out 38 amps.
We were pleasantly surprised until we went down below and started smelling electrical burning.
We quickly throttled back the engine to slow down the alternator output and pulled out the infrared thermometer, and sure enough, the alternator was at about 220 degrees Fahrenheit. So we kind of let things cool down and then slowly throttled back up, and the alternator is only putting out about 10 amps now, probably because it sensed an overheating, although I don't know if it's that smart. Maybe we fried something, I'm not sure. Just a couple.
It's always mildly nerve-wracking going under a bridge.
No matter how tall it is.
No matter how tall.
There's a secondary channel or a primary channel. The secondary, they said if you draft 5 foot, he wouldn't recommend it. I told him we draft 4.5. He said, you should be fine. But it cuts off a bunch of time, so I think I'm gonna take it.
All right.
Once we tied up at the marina, I cooked a late breakfast of pancakes and bacon, after which we immediately fell asleep.
What you doing?
I am pulling down the headliner because we are going to run our solar panel cables through the deck up here in the cockpit. In order to get to the spot where I want to do it, I've got to pull down this whole panel, which requires me to pull off this panel, which requires me to pull off this strip, and like try and figure out how this origami is all together. I don't want to break anything. I don't know how much this stuff can bend. So I might need to go one more screw. Look at all that fun stuff.
Cool. So did you find your spot?
I found the spot.
Right up there, right?
Yep.
Sweet.
That was pretty easy. It's gonna go right there.
All right, we're gonna do this one first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. I think this is looking pretty good. There's big cracks there.
The cracks in the rubber?
Yeah, so I cut it to get it over the cables. That's what you're supposed to do. But as you screw this all down, it's supposed to squeeze it all together. And I'll dump water over this. Hope that works. We'll have to test it in a little bit with a bucket of water. Now it's cleanup time. And I gotta cut all those cables and reroute them down there.
Turn a good morning into a great morning with new breakfast croissants. Now it's that
Is the boat ever clean? 5% of the time.
Yeah. You want a little bit? Yeah. Stuff like higher than. Is that where we were at?
Yeah. Keep the pressure on it. Yes!
Alright. Sweet. So I got the cable coming down here with a little extra. Just in case we need to make changes later. Which goes down in here. Through into the engine compartment. Comes out right here. Goes down and then into our solar charger. So now we're going to do the water test to make sure it doesn't leak. Can you tell me if you see leaks inside, Lauren?
Yeah. Oh shit, it's like a waterfall.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's actually coming through the cable.
No joke? There was some water seeping in next to one of the cables, but only a few drops. And we figured since the gland is under the Dodger and won't normally be subjected to water being dumped directly on it, that we'd be just fine. After 2 days of putting the boat back together after our crossing, it was time to live on the hook. We found an anchorage with a public dock and a grocery store right across the street. The funny thing was, we could almost see that anchorage from the slip that we just left. But to get there by boat, we had to travel almost 10 miles on the ICW.
We're gonna end up about 300 feet from where we just were.
After 2 hours of driving.
While at the marina, Kirk had given Ram, our dinghy, a good cleaning and topped him off with air, so we were eager to take him out for a spin. After dropping the hook, we got ready to make a trip to the grocery store. There was just one small problem. We're going on our first real provisioning run with the dinghy, and we're heading over to the grocery store.
You know what I forgot to do?
Yeah.
You have to put the plug in it.
So now our dinghy's sinking? During the cleaning, the drain plug had decided to run away and find a new home, and so we were up a creek with 2 paddles and a rather sizable hole in our dinghy. But not 5 minutes later, who motors by? A couple we met at the marina the day before. "I've got just the stuff to patch it up," he said, and they pulled a U-turn and zoomed back to their boat. The secret stuff was Flex Seal, and even though it can be applied underwater, we figured it would be easier not to, so we pulled Ram back on deck. And so, we waited. Then, just like boat ferries, they returned with a magic fix for our tender troubles. Of course, then we chatted. And the sun sank lower and lower, and by the time we got around to that grocery run, Kirk and I decided we should divide and conquer. Bye, love!
Nice and clean and inflated. It's nice.
So Kirk's leaving me back at the boat so that I can do some editing. Is the tape holding?
Yeah.
Well, this is the first time we're going to be taking our dinghy to go get groceries. Up until this point, we've been at marinas mostly, so we've been using the courtesy car at the marina. Feels like we're actually living on a boat. Alright, time to edit. Holy smokes, Kirk.
What?
That is a giant bag of produce.
Yeah. Got all sorts of fun stuff. Plums and peaches,
Really?
nectarines, and
Ginger snaps,
all sorts of good things.
cauliflower, potatoes. How was your grocery run?
It was very nice and pleasant. This is like a little paradise anchorage we found. It's like, I don't know, maybe 500-foot diameter. There's 4 boats in here, right next to a beautiful little restaurant and a free public dock, and it's absolutely peacefully calm in here. No boat traffic. It's dead calm out tonight. It's glassy water. It's gorgeous.
So that means we're gonna get a wonderful night's sleep.
Yes.
All right, let's eat dinner. Yay!